What happens when one of Korea's most beloved couples drops a revelation that no one saw coming? Just in. Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah have left fans utterly speechless with an unexpected marriage bombshell. The air is electric. The shockwaves are spreading. And the truth is more astonishing than any drama script. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover every detail right now. The entertainment world has always thrived on the unexpected. But sometimes even the most seasoned fans and industry insiders are left utterly breathless by the twists of reality. Ordinary morning that quickly turned extraordinary. Lines blazed with a shocking revelation that Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah had dropped a marriage bombshell that no one saw coming. For years they had been admired as a steadfast couple. One whose bond had weathered storms and inspired countless fans across the globe. But the silence surrounding their future together had stretched on so long that many had stopped daring to hope for such a confession. And then, without warning, the silence shattered. And Korea's golden pair declared that they were no longer simply partners in love, but partners in life. The journey to this jaw-dropping announcement is a story woven with patience, resilience, and the kind of loyalty that often feels more like a drama script than real life. Kim Woo-bin, the towering model turned actor with his chiseled features and deep voice, always embodied a mix of charm and vulnerability that made him irresistible to audiences. His breakout roles in School 2013 and The Heirs cemented his place as one of Korea's brightest stars, while later projects like Uncontrollably Fond revealed an emotional depth that marked him as more than just a pretty face. Yet his career trajectory took an unexpected detour when he was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal cancer in 2017. The world watched as he stepped away from the spotlight. His future uncertain. His legions of fans devastated. Standing quietly, steadfastly by his side was Shin Min-ah, already beloved in her own right. She had long since become one of Korea's most adored actresses. With iconic roles in My Girlfriend Is a Gumiho and Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, showcasing her ability to balance light-hearted charm with emotional gravity. When their relationship became public knowledge in 2015, it was met with fascination and support. But it was the years that followed that truly defined them as a couple. At the height of Woo-bin's illness, when many might have chosen distance, Min-ah chose presence. She walked beside him, offering strength in his darkest moments, earning admiration not just as a celebrity but as a partner whose loyalty was beyond reproach. Their love story became a beacon. Fans spoke of them in reverent tones, pointing to their relationship as proof that true devotion could still exist in an industry often accused of superficiality. The years went by, with Woo-bin gradually returning to health and Min-ah continuing to flourish in her career. Questions began to stir. Would they marry? Were they simply content to remain as they were? The silence stretched on, punctuated only by rare glimpses of their togetherness, photographs of them on quiet dates, reports of shared vacations. Hopeful fans speculated endlessly. But the couple themselves remained tight-lipped. It was precisely this long silence that made the eventual revelation so explosive. Without leaks, without hints, without any warning, the agencies representing both stars dropped the bombshell in unison. Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah had tied the knot. The statement was simple yet powerful, acknowledging the years of love between them and expressing gratitude for the support of fans who had walked this journey alongside them. They have chosen to walk through life together, the release read, and ask for continued blessings as they begin this new chapter. The reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Media platforms lit up with hashtags that climbed the trending lists within minutes. Woo-bin Shin Min-ah marriage bombshell, and K-drama couple goals dominated feeds as fans processed the news. For some, the revelation was the culmination of nearly a decade of waiting. After years of loyalty and patience. For others, the suddenness was jarring. The lack of build-up leaving them reeling. Tweets, posts, videos spread like wildfire, fans crying tears of joy. Commentators dissecting every word of the agency's statements. International media scrambling to cover the story. What made this moment so stunning was not just the fact of the marriage itself, but the way it had been delivered. In an age of constant leaks, where secrets rarely remain buried, the couple had managed to protect their privacy until the very last moment. Their silence had not been an evasion but a strategy, allowing them to control their narrative completely. By the time the world knew, the decision had already been made. The vows already exchanged. The power of that secrecy only amplified the shock when the truth came out. Behind the frenzy, however, was a deeply human story. Woo Bin's journey from illness to recovery had been a public one. His frailty laid bare before fans who longed for his return. To see him now, strong, healed, and married to the woman who never left his side, was more than just a celebrity headline. It was an emotional resolution to a story that had spanned nearly a decade. Fans who had prayed for his health now saw those prayers answered in the most profound way. Min-ah, too, was celebrated not just as an actress but as a partner who had proven her loyalty beyond all doubt. Their union symbolized resilience, love, and triumph over adversity. And yet, not all voices were celebratory. In corners of fan communities, some confessed to heartbreak, struggling with the parasocial bonds that had tethered them to Woo Bin or to Min-ah. For these fans, the announcement forced a reckoning between fantasy and reality. The image of their idols as perpetually available figures clashed with the truth of their humanity. In this sense, the marriage was not only a personal milestone but a cultural flashpoint, challenging the expectations placed upon celebrities to remain forever suspended in a state of unattached desirability. Industry insiders were quick to weigh in on the ramifications. For Woo Bin, who had only recently returned to major film projects, the announcement could reshape his career trajectory. Some advertisers might hesitate, wary of how fans would respond to his new marriage status. Others, however, saw a golden opportunity, the chance to market him not just as a star but as part of a beloved power couple. For Min-ah, the timing was equally significant. Fresh off the success of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, she was riding a wave of international recognition. Marriage to Woo Bin only amplified her brand, cementing her image as both a star and a woman admired for her personal choices. The media seized on every angle. Entertainment shows replayed the timeline of their relationship, splicing together old interviews, public appearances, and paparazzi photos to construct a narrative arc leading to the marriage. News outlets around the world covered the story with varying tones of reverence and excitement. Variety described them as Korea's ultimate power couple, while Japanese headlines hailed the marriage as a fairy tale ending. Chinese social media platforms buzzed with congratulatory messages, framing the union as proof of Korea's continuing dominance in global pop culture. Within Korea, the revelation sparked deeper conversations. Commentators debated what it meant for celebrity culture in a society where marriage often comes later in life and where public figures are expected to maintain an image of availability. Some argue that Woo Bin and Min-ah's marriage could mark a turning point, normalizing the idea that stars can pursue love openly without losing fan support. Others warned that backlash was still possible, among fans who saw the marriage as a betrayal of the fantasy they had invested in. But through it all, one truth became undeniable: this was a story that transcended scandal and gossip. It was a story of endurance, loyalty, and love that had already weathered storms more intense than public scrutiny. The marriage bombshell was not a rupture but a resolution, a awaited affirmation of a bond that had proven itself time and again. As the first wave of shock began to settle, turned their attention to the future. What would come next for the couple? Would they hold a public ceremony, inviting the world to share in their joy? Would they retreat once more into silence, protecting their new chapter with the same care they had guarded their courtship? Speculation ran rampant, with tabloids publishing alleged insider tips and fans dissecting every word of the official statements for hidden clues. The truth, however, remained as carefully guarded as ever. The silence had ended with a bang. What lay ahead was still wrapped in mystery. For now, fans were left to revel in the joy, to cry tears of happiness or heartbreak, and to witness a moment in Korean entertainment history that would not soon be forgotten. The bombshell had been dropped, the shock absorbed, and the love story of Kim Woo Bin and Shin Min-ah had entered a new, unforgettable chapter. The announcement may have shocked fans, but its ripple effect went far beyond the headlines. Days and weeks that followed, the marriage of Kim Woo Bin and Shin Min-ah dominated conversations, not only among their supporters but across the entire entertainment industry. This was not just another celebrity coupling, it was a cultural event, one that redefined expectations of love, loyalty, authenticity in the public eye. For industry insiders, Bombshell was both a challenge and an opportunity. Brands that had long partnered with Kim Woo Bin reviewed their contracts nervously, aware that his carefully curated image as a bachelor heartthrob had been central to their campaigns. Yet others saw the potential for a new narrative, no longer just a single idolized star. He was now one half of a golden couple, A man whose journey through illness and recovery had culminated in a love story worthy of legend. Companies began brainstorming campaigns that celebrated stability, trust, and resilience, values that Woo Bin and Min Ah's relationship embodied. Shin Min Ah, meanwhile, emerged even more luminous in the aftermath. Her unwavering devotion during Woo Bin's illness had already endeared her to the public. But the marriage announcement crystallized her image as a woman of strength, loyalty, and grace. Advertisers and producers realized that far from diminishing her appeal, the marriage enhanced it, presenting her as someone who could embody both romance and independence. For every brand nervous about the shift, there were others ready to embrace the story as a marketing triumph. But beyond contracts and endorsements, the cultural resonance of the marriage was undeniable. In Korea, where celebrity relationships are often shrouded in secrecy until marriage is inevitable, the revelation was groundbreaking. Silence that preceded it only heightened the drama, and the suddenness of the announcement forced the public to confront its own expectations. Fans had always demanded transparency, yet when faced with unvarnished truth, many found themselves reeling. The contradiction revealed something profound about the parasocial bonds between celebrities and their admirers. People wanted honesty, but they also wanted the fantasy to remain intact. The marriage of Woo Bin and Min Ah became a lens through which deeper questions were asked. Could celebrities live openly without being punished by their own fans? Was it possible to maintain both authenticity and allure in a world that constantly demanded one at the expense of the other? Columnists debated these issues passionately, some hailing the couple as pioneers of a new era, others warning that backlash could still undermine them. Even the critics admitted that the pair's story was unique, rooted not in fleeting passion, but in a love that had already survived trials more intense than public scrutiny. Fans themselves continued to divide into camps. Supporters filled fan cafes with heartfelt letters and digital artwork celebrating the union, describing it as a fairy tale come true. International fan communities organized online events, sharing videos and edits that chronicled the couple's journey from dating rumors to marriage. At the same time, a quieter undercurrent of disappointment remained. Fans confessed to feeling left behind, their imagined futures with their idols now permanently out of reach. Yet, even among the heartbroken, there was an acknowledgement of the beauty of the couple's story. It hurts, one fan wrote, but it also feels right. They belong together. Meanwhile, journalists dug into the past, piecing together what they now saw as clues. Old interviews were replayed. Fans scrutinized body language with new eyes. A shy glance here, a supportive touch there. Every moment was reinterpreted as foreshadowing. Photos of them traveling together in secret suddenly seemed like milestones in a timeline leading to the inevitable. What had once been speculation was now reframed as evidence, transforming the couple's private journey into a collective narrative owned by millions. Internationally, the marriage was celebrated with enthusiasm. Japanese magazines published glossy spreads of the couple, labeling them Asia's eternal pair. Chinese media praised Shin Min Ah's loyalty and Kim Woo Bin's resilience, framing the marriage as a modern epic of devotion. Western outlets described it as Hollywood-worthy, noting how their love story had all the elements of a blockbuster: glamour, hardship, sacrifice, and triumph. The news transcended borders, proving once again the global reach of Korean entertainment and the fascination it inspires. The personal dimension, however, seemed the most powerful. Those who knew the couple spoke softly of their quiet life together, of shared routines that grounded them amidst chaos. Woo Bin, who had once spoken about the fragility of life after his illness, was said to have found in Min Ah not just a partner but an anchor. She, in turn, was described as radiant in her happiness, patience and loyalty finally rewarded with a future she had long envisioned. These glimpses, though small, gave fans a sense of intimacy, a reassurance that behind the headlines lay a simple truth: two people had chosen love. Of course, challenges lay ahead. Scrutiny would not end with the announcement. Every future role Woo Bin accepted would be analyzed through the lens of his marriage. Every drama Min Ah starred in would be dissected for parallels to her real life. The pressure to maintain an image of perfection as a couple would be immense, with tabloids waiting eagerly for any hint of conflict. Those close to them suggested that if any pair could endure such pressure, it was them. Having already weathered illness, separation, weight of fame, marriage was not a hurdle but a culmination. For the entertainment industry, the marriage marked a turning point. Younger stars looked to Woo Bin and Min Ah as proof that love could be both private and public. that silence could coexist with truth. Agencies began reconsidering their strategies, wondering whether shielding every romance was truly necessary. Their audiences might embrace honesty if it was delivered with respect. Cultural critics speculated that this could usher in a slow but meaningful shift in how celebrity relationships were handled in Korea. As the dust settled, attention turned to the future. Couple hold a grand public ceremony? Or had the vows already been exchanged in private? Would they share glimpses of married life with their fans? Or would they retreat once more into silence? Tabloids speculated endlessly, but true to form, the couple remained enigmatic. For now, the only certainty was that their story had entered a new phase, one that promised as much fascination as the chapters that had come before. In the end, the marriage of Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah was not merely a shock but a revelation. It revealed the endurance of love, the resilience of two people who had faced trials that could have broken them, and the possibility that authenticity might yet coexist with fame. Fans were left stunned, speechless, ultimately moved, not just because of the surprise, because the story felt real in a world that so often feels scripted. Perhaps that is why the news struck so deeply. Culture accustomed to manufactured moments, this revelation felt like a raw, unscripted truth. Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah had written their own love story, and in doing so, they had redefined what it means to be a couple in the public eye. Silence that had once left fans restless was now broken forever, replaced by a truth that was louder, bolder, more inspiring than anyone had imagined. As the lights dim on this chapter and anticipation builds for what comes next, one thing remains clear: the love story of Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah has left an indelible mark. Fans may still be speechless, critics may still debate, but history will remember this as the day two of Korea's brightest stars turned the private devotion into public legacy. And in the end, perhaps that is the most shocking revelation of all, that in the unforgiving world of fame, love can not only survive but triumph. All stunned and inspired, the marriage of Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah will be remembered not just as breaking news, but as a defining cultural moment. The story of two stars who defied silence, endured storms, and finally chose to reveal the truth of their love. In doing so, they reminded the world that behind the dazzling lights and unending speculation are two human hearts beating bravely together. The shock may fade, the headlines may quiet down. Story, rooted in resilience, loyalty, and devotion, will live on as one of the most unforgettable love stories in Korean entertainment history. Thank you for joining Red Carpet Revealed on this emotional journey through twists and triumphs of Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah's stunning revelation. Your passion as readers gives meaning to every story we uncover. Stay with us, because in the world of stars, silence hides another secret, and the next revelation might be closer than you think.